Hello to you. My name is Maria Kądzielska and this is Poland Daily Culture. And today we open the doors for you to the Chinese world. Because actually we Poles know a lot about China. And here with me is an expert, Uziembło. Thank you very much for being with us.
Hello, nice meeting you all.
So, 你怎么样?
还行。今天的天气有点不太好。
Okay, before our viewers will turn it off thinking that actually it's in Mandarin. It's still in English. But I'm very happy also about the fact that we have people here in Poland who are interested in Chinese culture, who understand it very well, who are able to open the doors for others in order to understand this different world, because it is a different world.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because it's like Poland was at some moment in history actually a place that people were asking our King Sobieski about China. Tell me, why would they do that?
No idea, actually.
That's interesting. In good old times, when Poland was still a powerful country, there were a lot of Polish people, of course Catholics, who were going as missionaries. And some of them went to China. And some of them went actually into really good research, doing really good research about China. One of them is one of my favorite people, is the famous, but not so famous. Have you ever been to Lvov?
Yes, I have.
Have you seen the Boym Chapel?
No.
You haven't been to Lvov?
Maybe I have seen the chapel, but I didn't know it's a Boym chapel.
It's one of the most beautiful. Boym was a very famous Hungarian-Polish citizen family that were living in Lvov. And one of their sons went to China. They, since they were very rich, they were merchants, so they set up a beautiful chapel, personal chapel for themselves.
I see.
And that guy went as a missionary to China, and he also wrote letters to our king.
Yes, and became a symbol of, I would say, Poles discovering China. And right now, everyone refers to him. So
people started to get to know about him. There is two Boym foundations. One is Polish Church Foundation, second is the Research Foundation. Both of them try to spread knowledge about Boym, but it's very interesting. He was also a basis for, if somebody researches, I'm sorry to break my own line of thought, if somebody researches 16th, 17th century knowledge, there was one guy who was very, very important for everything. He wrote Athanasius Kircher.
Haven't heard about him.
He's a very important personage in 16th century thinking, thought, and he was important. He was writing to kings, giving knowledge, giving advices, writing books that were well researched and well distributed in that world. And his basis of knowledge on China was Boym.
Interesting. So just to say a few words, so Boym was a Polish, maybe aristocrat or merchant, yes?
Yeah, yes.
From rich guy, from rich family, who traveled in those times, which was difficult, all the way to China.
First he went to Africa, then he went to India, to Goa. He was a Jesuit, so he was traveling very widely. And then he decided to go and, since enough, he already wrote a lot of things about Africa, a lot of letters. He went to China, and then he tried to get into the emperor's court. And there was a switch in dynasties. At that time, the Ming dynasty was falling apart, and Qing dynasty was gaining power. And Song dynasty was forced to go to the south. And actually, we don't know where he's buried. We know that he traveled to Guilin, at which part, around there was the Ming court at that time, and probably on the way back to Rome, he passed away, somewhere within China.
Okay, and did he manage to get to the court?
Oh yes, he was well known, and he was writing a lot of things from the court, and he was once also a representative of the court to the European powers. You can read. There's this very interesting Polish sinologist, Edward Kijdański, who just passed away last year, whose books on him are great to read. Please do read them. He was another Polish-Chinese touch. Have you ever heard of Harbin?
Place?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a city in China.
There's a city in China.
Probably set up by Polish engineers, mostly. Of course, Russians would insist those are Russian, but At that time, there was no Poland. The engineers were Polish with Russian passports. And in that city, there was a big Polish community, and he's one of the Polish harbingers.
Very interesting. So actually, like Polish culture and Polish elements and our steps were there in China already centuries ago.
Yes, it was centuries ago. Michał Boym was the first one. Kejdański was like a last one because he was of the generation that stayed in China the longest. And they actually lived in China. They lived Chinese experience. And one of them, I can't remember the name, but he stayed in China for all his life. He was the only existing Chinese of Polish origin.
Very interesting. Well, it needed to be a shock. I can't even imagine what it was for Michał Boym to ended up in China with such a different language, with everything which is because it's a different civilization from the scratch to the very end. They are not based on anything which is, I would say, similar to us. And I mean, at least we have Latin in common or Greek in common. We can understand something even from any other European language. But in this case, no words.
Well, you have to learn classic Chinese, and that's what he did. The ancient Chinese or classical Chinese, because that's their Latin.
Well, that's very impressive. Truly very, very impressive. So for you, if you think that learning Chinese right now is difficult, imagine being Michał Boym and having no base of it, going to the end of the world without even knowing if the end of the world exists and learning the language. That's a true courage. But we managed to do it 3 centuries ago. I think we can manage to do it today as well. And thank you very much for watching Poland Daily Culture.